She had billionaire parents, but not their love. One day, at just 8 years old, she walked away from her mansion. What happened next will break your heart. Stay tuned because you are about to watch a beautiful story and find out what happened next. Hello, family. Welcome to Tales Haven. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. At the end of Willow Creek Drive stood the biggest house in town, the home of Mr. Jonathan Miller and Mrs. Emily Miller. To the outside world, they were the dream couple. Jonathan was a powerful businessman who owned companies across the country. Emily was a famous fashion designer, loved by magazines and admired at every event. Together, they were billionaires. People said, the Millers have it all. But inside that mansion, behind the tall black gates and shiny glass windows, there was one thing missing: love. Their daughter, Lily Miller, was only 8 years old. She had everything other kids wished for: a room filled with toys, the latest clothes, her own playhouse in the backyard, even a pony. But deep inside, Lily felt empty, because what she wanted most wasn't there. She wanted her mom and dad's time. Jonathan was always traveling, meetings in New York, conferences in Los Angeles, business deals overseas. Emily spent her days at fashion shows, photo shoots, and late-night events. Both told themselves, "We are working hard for Lily. This is all for her future." But Lily didn't care about the money. She didn't care about dresses or toys. She only wanted her parents to care for her. The Millers hired Nanny Grace and Mr. James, the driver. Nanny Grace was gentle and kind. She cooked Lily's meals, brushed her hair in the morning, and tucked her into bed at night. Sometimes, she even sang her to sleep, hoping to fill the emptiness Lily felt. Mr. James, the driver, was like a friendly uncle. He drove her to school every day and picked her up in the afternoon. He always asked, "How was school, kiddo?" and tried to make her laugh with silly jokes. But no matter how loving Nanny Grace was, or how nice Mr. James tried to be, they could never replace Jonathan and Emily. Every morning, Lily would ask softly, "Nanny, will Mom or Dad come home early today?" Nanny Grace forced a smile, hiding the ache in her chest. "Maybe tomorrow, sweetheart." And when Mr. James picked her up from school, Lily often looked around the parking lot, hoping her parents' car would be there instead. But it never was. At school, her heart hurt the most. She saw other kids running into their parents' arms, mothers holding lunchboxes, fathers clapping proudly at school plays. At birthday parties, she watched parents laugh, take photos, and cheer for their children. Lily? She stood alone. She smiled politely. But no one clapped for her. No one cheered. No one held her hand. The house was full of people: the nanny, the driver, the helpers. But to Lily it felt empty. Empty halls. Empty dinners. Empty nights. In her big bedroom, surrounded by toys and glittering lights, Lily hugged her teddy bear tight. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "Why don't Mom and Dad want to be with me? Don't they love me?" The mansion looked perfect on the outside, but inside it was cold. The truth was clear. It was a house made of money, but not a home made of love. As the saying goes, a child does not need a perfect home. A child just needs a loving one. That night, after whispering to her teddy bear, Lily pulled the blanket up to her chin. The room was quiet, too quiet. Outside, the wind brushed against the windows, but inside, the silence pressed down on her little heart. She thought of her friends. Sarah's mom always reads her bedtime stories. Ethan's dad comes to every soccer game. But who comes for me? Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away. She didn't want Nanny Grace to see her cry again. She was tired of being comforted with the same words. Your parents love you. They're just busy. If they loved her, why weren't they there? The next morning at breakfast, the seat across from Lily was empty again. Only Nanny Grace sat with her, reminding her to eat her toast before the school bus came. The chair where her dad should have been stayed silent. The spot where her mom used to sit remained untouched. Lily stirred her cereal slowly, whispering, "It's just me again." When Mr. James drove her to school, she stared out the window. The city outside was alive. Families walking together, kids laughing with their parents, hands held tight. Lily pressed her forehead against the glass and whispered, "Why can't that be me?" At recess, Lily sat with her friends as they bragged about their weekend trips. "Daddy took me fishing," one boy shouted. "My mom baked cookies with me," another girl said proudly. When it was Lily's turn, she forced a smile. "I just played in my playhouse," she said softly. She didn't tell them she had played alone. At the school play a week later, Lily wore a little crown and played her part as the princess on stage. The crowd clapped, parents cheered, cameras flashed. Children ran off the stage into waiting hugs. But when Lily stepped down, only Mr. James was waiting. He clapped gently, gave her a kind smile, and said, "You were amazing, kiddo." But Lily's heart sank, because the people she wanted to hear that from weren't there. That night, in her bedroom, Lily sat by the window. The mansion outside glowed beautifully under the nightlights, but to her, it was just a pretty cage. She hugged her teddy bear and whispered into the darkness, "Do they even remember me? Do they even want me?" A thought crept into her little mind, a thought she had never spoken out loud. "Maybe if I can't find love here, I should go somewhere else to look for it." Her small hands gripped the teddy tighter. The idea scared her, but the loneliness inside her was scarier. And that was the night Lily decided one day soon she would leave the mansion behind. Because more than toys, more than clothes, more than money, she needed love. As the old saying goes, when love is not given at home, the heart will wander to find it elsewhere. Lily didn't sleep much after that night. Her decision sat in her small chest like a heavy stone. By morning she knew. Today, she moved quietly. She slid her tiny backpack from the closet and packed what she could carry. Mr. Button, her teddy, a peanut butter sandwich Nanny Grace made, a juice box, a little flashlight from her drawer, the school photo of her and her parents, taken long ago. She looked at the picture for a long time. Then she slipped it into the front pocket and zipped it shut. Downstairs, the house hummed like a hotel, clean, busy, but not warm. Nanny Grace tied Lily's hair in a neat ponytail and kissed her cheek. "Have a good day, sweetheart," she said. "You too," Lily whispered, eyes low. Mr. James drove her to school. "Big spelling test," he joked. "Yeah," Lily said, but her voice was far away. She watched families crossing the street hand in hand. Her chest ached. After the last bell, children rushed out to waiting hugs. Lily saw Mr. James by the pickup zone, scanning the crowd for her. She stepped behind a group of parents, slipped along the fence, and walked through the side gate she'd noticed last week. Her legs shook, but she kept moving. She walked 4 blocks to Maple Park, the one with the blue swings and the crooked slide. She sat on the swing and watched the world she wanted. A dad kneeling to tie his daughter's shoe, a mom sharing fries with her little boy, a couple cheering as their child climbed the slide all by herself. Lily smiled at them, then looked down at the wood chips and swallowed a sob. Back at school, Mr. James checked his watch. 5 minutes late.
10, 20.
The crowd thinned. His stomach dropped. He hurried to the office, searched the hallways, called Nanny Grace. "Is Lily with you?" "No. She should be with you." His hands shook as he dialed again. This time Jonathan, then Emily. Both were in meetings. Both phones lit up with urgent. At Maple Park, the sun slid lower. Lily finished her sandwich in tiny bites. She wiped her eyes with the back of her sleeve and stood. She walked toward Maplewood Public Library, a place she loved because it was quiet and kind. Inside, she sat in the children's corner and read picture books about families who hugged at bedtime. The clock ticked. The librarian announced closing soon. Lily thanked her softly and stepped back onto the sidewalk. The air had turned cool. Streetlights clicked on with a soft buzz. Lily hugged Mr. Button and followed the warm smell of bread to Sunny Bakery. She sat on the bench outside, under a street lamp, where the light felt like a small blanket. Cars passed.
People laughed.
No one noticed the little girl with the backpack and the brave face. Across town, everything moved fast and messy. Jonathan's meeting ended mid-sentence. Emily's photo shoot stopped with lights still hot. They both rushed out separately, then met at home with eyes that looked older than the morning. The house felt like a warning bell, too bright, too quiet, too clean. Nanny Grace held back tears. She didn't come back after school. Mr. James spread a city map on the table. I checked the school, the field, the ice cream place. Nothing. I'm going back out. Call the police, Jonathan said, voice tight. Emily's hands trembled. Call everyone. Phones rang. Texts flew. Security guards checked gates and cameras. Neighbors searched corners and alleys. The police took Lily's photo and began their sweep. Jonathan drove the route he took on weekends, though there were so few of those. Emily checked parks she barely knew by name. With each empty bench, the truth cut deeper. Money can't fix this. Mr. James thought like Lily. Where would a child go to feel safe? He tried the library, then the bakery nearby. As he turned corner, he saw a small figure on a bench under a pool of light, a teddy bear tucked under her chin. He hit the hazards and jumped out. Lily, he called, voice cracking. Across the map, Jonathan made a sharp turn when his phone vibrated. Emily's car was already speeding toward the same pin Mr. James had sent. Sunny Bakery, Willow and 3rd. Nanny Grace prayed out loud in the back seat. Under the street lamp, Lily lifted her head at the sound of her name. Her eyes were red, but she didn't run. She just held Mr. Button tighter and waited. She wasn't lost. She was waiting to be found. The night is darkest just before the dawn. When she heard her name again, this time shouted with voices she knew, she froze. Turning her head slowly, she saw them. Jonathan and Emily. Her parents. They rushed toward her, breathless, faces pale, clothes messy from hours of searching. Emily dropped to her knees before Lily and pulled her into her arms. Her perfume mixed with the smell of the night air, but for Lily, it was the scent she had been waiting for. Jonathan wrapped his arms around both of them, trembling as though he feared she might slip away again. Lily, Emily cried, tears running down her cheeks. Why, oh, why did you leave us? The little girl pressed her face into her mother's shoulder and whispered, almost too soft to hear, because I just wanted someone who had time for me. The words cut deeper than any wound. Jonathan's lips parted, but no sound came out. His empire, his towers, his millions of dollars, none of it meant a thing at that moment. Emily's shoulders shook as she kissed Lily's hair again and again, whispering, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. When they finally pulled back, Lily's eyes searched theirs, as if trying to see if their love was real. Jonathan held her tiny hand in both of his and said, with a voice heavy with guilt, Daddy failed you, sweetheart. Mommy and Daddy both failed you. But never again. From today, we're going to do better. We're going to be here with you. Lily didn't answer with words. Instead, she leaned into his chest, letting his arms hold her tight. That night, the car ride home was silent, but it was not the cold silence Lily knew before. It was a heavy silence, filled with reflection, regret, and promises that had not yet been spoken aloud. Back at the mansion, Lily walked through the grand doors she had left behind, but tonight they felt different. Nanny Grace ran forward, hugging her gently, whispering prayers of relief. Mr. James tipped his cap, eyes wet, before quietly stepping back. For the first time in years, Jonathan and Emily canceled everything. No late-night calls. No glowing laptop screens. No business charts spread across the dining table. Instead, they sat together on Lily's bed, watching her finish the glass of warm milk Nanny Grace had made. Emily brushed her daughter's hair gently. What story do you want tonight, sweetheart? Lily's eyes widened. You'll read me one? Tonight. Not just tonight, Jonathan said firmly, sitting on the other side of the bed. Every night. Lily smiled, a small smile at first, then one that lit up her whole face. When she finally fell asleep, Jonathan and Emily stayed there, watching her soft breathing. For years, they had measured their lives in profit and success. But tonight, watching their daughter sleep peacefully, they realized something. This was the only wealth that truly mattered. Emily whispered, We almost lost her. Jonathan, staring at Lily, replied softly, "And if we ever did, all the money in the world wouldn't matter." They sat together in silence, hand in hand, promising themselves that this time they would not forget. Because love, once lost, is the hardest thing to find again. As the saying goes, time is the language of love, and children can hear it louder than words. The next morning, sunlight streamed through Lily's curtains. For the first time in a long while, her parents were already awake, not rushing to dress for work, not glued to phones, not slipping out the door. Instead, Jonathan and Emily sat at the breakfast table, waiting for her. Lily blinked in surprise when she walked in, holding Mr. Button. You're here?" she asked, almost as if she didn't believe her own eyes. Emily opened her arms. "Yes, sweetheart. And we're staying." Jonathan smiled, sliding a plate of pancakes toward her, made with Dad's terrible cooking skills. "You better eat them fast before they turn hard." Lily giggled. The sound was small, but it filled the whole kitchen like music. That day marked a new beginning. Jonathan canceled his flight to New York. Emily closed her laptop and told her assistant she was unavailable. Meetings could wait. Clients could wait. But their daughter? She would wait no longer. The days that followed brought change the mansion had never seen. In the mornings, they sat together for breakfast. No empty chairs. No cold toast left behind. Jonathan drove Lily to school himself, with Emily beside him in the passenger seat. When Lily stepped out, both waved until she disappeared into the building. In the afternoons, they waited outside like the other parents. Lily's face glowed each time she spotted them, her mom waving wildly, her dad clapping like she had won a medal. Mr. James still drove sometimes, but now it was different. He drove while Jonathan and Emily sat in the back with their daughter, asking about her day. Evenings became Lily's favorite. Instead of lonely dinners, the dining table was full of stories, laughter, and Jonathan's silly jokes that made Emily roll her eyes. Afterward, Emily painted with Lily, while Jonathan built castles with her blocks. Sometimes, all three lay on the carpet, just laughing until their stomachs hurt. Nanny Grace often stood quietly at the doorway, watching with tears in her eyes. The house no longer felt like a silent hotel. It finally felt like a home. Weeks later, at another school play, Lily wore a bright costume and stepped onto the stage. But this time, when she looked into the crowd, her heart didn't sink. There, in the front row, Jonathan and Emily sat side by side, phones ready, smiles wide. When her part ended, they clapped the loudest. Emily's voice rang clear. "That's my girl." Jonathan stood, cheering until the other parents laughed and joined in. And Lily shined. Because now, she wasn't performing for strangers. She was performing for her parents. One quiet night, long after Lily had fallen asleep, Jonathan and Emily sat together in the living room. Emily whispered, "Do you realize? We almost lost her." Jonathan nodded slowly, his eyes soft. "I know. And it took nearly losing her to understand we had nothing without her." They sat hand in hand, listening to the soft sound of their daughters breathing upstairs. The house no longer felt empty. The laughter had returned. The warmth had returned. And Lily? She finally had what she had longed for all along. Not toys. Not money. Not gifts. But love. Real. Simple. Everyday love. From then on, Lily lived her childhood the way it was meant to be lived. With joy, with laughter, and with her parents by her side. Because in the end, the greatest gift a parent can give their child is not wealth or success, it is time and love. And in the Miller family, love had finally found its way home. At the end of the day, our children will not remember the money we spent, but the moments we shared. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you find this story worth watching. If you do, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories. Like, and also share this video to your friends and loved ones. Your support and engagement encourage me to post more videos. Thanks for watching.